All right, this is the second to last video. This section will be on the proportional reasoning and unit rates, and the last one will be on the geometry and angle stuff. So, ratio. We do ratios when we compare two quantities. Equivalent ratios are ratios that are equal, just like equal fractions or equivalent fractions. Equivalent is a fancy word for equal. You can find equivalent ratios by multiplying or dividing both parts of the ratio by the same number. So we're going to multiply or we're going to divide both parts by the same number. So if I want to find two equivalent ratios for each, in this case, if I look at 6 and 9, I think, those actually are both multiples of 3. So if I wanted, I could divide both sides by 3. So 6 divided by 3 is 2, and 9 divided by 3 is 3. So 2/3 is an equivalent ratio. But like, let's say I want to do something different. Let's say I want to multiply. Let's say I want to multiply by 4 or 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 6, pick a number. Maybe I'll pick 5. I'm going to multiply by 5. So if I multiply by 5, I go 6 times 5 is 30. Put my two dots, which means the 2 part, and I also have to multiply by 5 here. So 9 times 5 equals 45. And that way we have an equivalent ratio that's from multiplication. When I look at 3 to 4, that's how you read this. The 2 dots are like 2. Well, I think, why not double that? So I could double that by multiplying by 2. 3 times 2 is 6, and 4 times 2 is 8. That would be an equivalent ratio. You could also pick a big number like 10. So that would be 30 to 40. Essentially, even just adding a 0 if I want. So here I multiplied by 10. Here I multiplied by 2. And remember, you have to do this to both sides of the dots, which is the 2. That's what keeps it equal. So writing ratios. So to write ratios, we need to take the language and put it into math. A fruit basket had 12 apples and 15 oranges. Write the ratio of apples to oranges. So sometimes what I do is they want apples to oranges. So this 2 becomes the dots. Look up here, there's 12 apples. Look up here, there's 15 oranges. Now, it didn't say that I have to reduce this, but I probably should, because when I look at this, I think, well, 12 and 15, these are both multiples of 3. So I can divide by 3 and divide by 3 and see what I get. 12 divided by 3 is 4, and 15 divided by 3 is 5. So this would be the reduced ratio in lowest terms. But in the basket, there are actually 12 to 15 oranges. This would be the reduced ratio. So equivalent ratios are useful when we have to solve what a ratio is. Now, we used charts to do this. So I'll show you what we did with the chart. Remember, whatever you do to one side, you must do to the other, because that's what keeps it equal. So always from left to right. So we have 5 to 15, and we can do our chart. Think of the dots is on this line. And then I have 20 to x. So I want to find out what number would go here. What you need to do is ask yourself, what number gets you from 5 to 20? And we're not talking about adding, we're talking about multiplying. If you're not sure, you can actually do this little trick where you just take 20 divided by 5, and you get 20 divided by 5, and you get 4. So what we did, and you can double check this, 5 times 4 should equal 20. And you have that number in there, so just multiply by 5, and I do. I get 20, which means this answer down here, we have to multiply by 4. So this answer, x, should be equal to 15 times 4, which equals 15 times 4, which equals 60. And you can double check that. If you just take 60 and divide by 15, and you get 4, which means we're getting this number back, which means we did the right thing. All right, and let's go on to this one over here. Let's make up a chart. So again, we'll make up a chart, x to 6 and 14 to 21. Now this one might be a little bit more tricky because I'm going to a smaller number. I go 21 to 6 and it maybe isn't as nice. Okay, so what you do is I need to think, well, what number do I need to multiply by 21 to get 6? And I think, I don't know if I can think about that in my head. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 6 divided by 21, because you can see it's just like almost a little fraction there. 6 divided by 21 is this 0.2857 and a whole bunch of stuff. But remember, whatever I did here, I have to do here. So keep that number in there and multiply it by 14. And I get 4. So the answer should be 4. And you can always double check this too. Okay? Because these should be the same right here. So you can always double check what 4 divided by 6 is and what 14 divided by 21. These should be the same. 4 divided by 6 is 0.66666 or 0.67. And check out 14 divided by 21. Oh, it's the same thing, which means I did it right. Hooray. Okay? And we can use this to solve word problems. A party planner has determined 25 bags of chips will feed about 125 people. So there's our first bit of information. That is actually a ratio. 25 bags of chips and 125 people. They ask us, how many bags of chips should we buy for a party with 300 people? So what we're going to do is make up a chart. Okay, the two things we have is bags of chips and people. This first ratio that I have in yellow says there's 25 bags of chips. It will feed, 125 people. They want to know, how many bags of chips should I buy for 300 people? So ask yourself, well, how many multiples of 125 is that? Well, take how many we want to have, divide by 125. So if we take 300, divide by 125, I get 2.4. So that means I should be multiplying by 2.4. And you can always double check that. 2.4 times 125. Oh, I get 300. So that means the bag of chips, to get the bag of chips, I need to multiply by 25. 25 by 2.4. So 25 times wrote 2.5, but it's 2.4, right? 300 divided by 125. Yep. Sorry, guys. Make sure you keep track of your numbers. It's easy to mess up. There we go. So 2.4. So I have the 2.4 on the calculator, multiply that by 25, and I get 60. So you have to remember, what does this represent? Well, this represents the number of bag of chips number. So therefore, does it say who? No, the party planner should buy 60 bags of chips to feed 300 people. And that's how you finish with your therefore statement as well. Because this right here tells me that you know what the 60 represented. It represented bags of chips, and you know that it was to feed 300 people. So now we're going to go ahead and finish the rate question on the other side, because that's part of ratios. There we go. So unit rate. A unit rate compares quantities when the one other number is 1. To find unit rate, we divide both numbers by the second number, and this makes it 1, because 3 divided by 3 is 1, 10 divided by 10 is 1, 123 divided by 123 is 1. So let's take a look. So Sarah earns $393.3 when she works 30 hours. So what the rate means is I want to know how much she earns per hour or per 1 hour. So you write it out as dollars, $393, and that's actually 30 cents. If you want to write it out like that, that's dollars. And we want to divide by 38 hours. Remember, this thing means divide. So what you're going to do is you're going to do the math with the numbers here. So take your calculator, 393.3, and we're going to divide by 38. And that's 1035. So that's 1035. So that means that Sarah earns 1035 per hour. And that's what this line means. It means per. It means divide. So for every hour, she earns 1035. Let's do part B. This is rainfall. 28 millimeters of rain fell in 5 hours. So they want us to find out how much rain fell in 1 hour. So you take your 28. I like to put my units in. I know some people don't. But this tells me what to do with these, what it means with these numbers here. So you just do the math on your calculator. You can't put millimeters in your calculator. So you go 28 divided by 5, and that's 5.6. Give myself some equal signs for communication marks. So that means 5.6 millimeters per hour. You can't do any math with this, but those units tell you what this number means. So in 1 hour, 5.6 millimeters fell. If it was 2 hours, I'd have to multiply this number by 2. Essentially, you have a ratio that looks like this. And this is millimeters, and this is hours. So really, it's just ratios. Okay? Next video will be on geometry.